What's going on, guys? It's time for a brand new episode of Falls Count Anywhere. Sit down, strap in, get ready. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? I am Robbie Diesel, your host, your guide to Falls Count Anywhere. This is my weekly episodic YouTube show where I drop my thoughts on the most recent happenings within the WWE, and this was a hell of a week. We first got to start off with a couple things that happened at Payback this past Sunday in San Jose at the SAP Center. Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns had a hell of a match. It was an incredible, bust-ass, hard-hitting, physical match, and every single bone in my body wanted Braun to win. And in fact, if you rewind to last episode, I actually predicted that Braun would win, and I actually said that I wanted him to leave Roman Reigns half dead in the ring. My prediction, Roman Reigns loses, hopefully partially dies in the ring, and stays off of TV for a little bit. Ironically enough, even though I was joking about that, that's kind of what happened. And it was really awesome to see, because we're normally used to seeing the exact opposite. Roman Reigns has these really great opponents, and they get built up and built up and built up, and then he just absolutely destroys him. So for the change of pace to have happened with Braun Strowman being the aggressor in this match, it felt really great. And it was also great for Braun to get that win, because now he is even more credible as the monster among men. You know, he beat Roman Reigns, the big dog. He beat him down, he bloodied him, put him out of action for a second time, and it was great. It was fantastic. I love the storytelling, and I even love that, you know, they're kind of bringing in the real life, real world side of things. Shortly after the match, Braun actually tweeted, like, "This is my yard now," which is what I've been wanting them to say for the longest of time. It was a super awesome match, and I absolutely loved it. Now, on the flip side of that, and then not so awesome match, we witnessed the first ever House of Horrors match, which I'm thinking you could have pretty much replayed the Chamber of Horrors match from WCW, and it would have had more impact than this match. It felt overproduced. The action was dumb, like it was very repetitive. Randy Orton would walk into a room, Bray Wyatt would blindside him, Randy Orton would get the upper hand, and then Bray would leave. Lather, rinse, repeat. It's a very repetitive match. It ended up back in the arena, as everybody expected. Now, the surprise ending was kind of cool, with the Bollywood boys and Jinder Mahal sneaking in and helping Bray Wyatt get the win. But overall, this match did nothing for either man, and it was almost like a waste of a match and a waste of a feud, because the Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton feud has been built up for a long time, and just to see Bray lose very cleanly at WrestleMania and drop the title to Orton and not really have anything else waiting for him in the wings is a bit of a waste. I was very disappointed with how that turned out. We also witnessed the heel turn of Sheamus and Cesaro at Payback. They lost the match to the Hardy Boys. The Hardys retained. They did the same routine. They shook hands. And then after the match, Sheamus and Cesaro went full-blown heel. And I think it was very important that Cesaro was actually the first person to get back to the ring, because as of that moment, or up until that moment, Cesaro had been the more civil of the two. He was always the one playing the good guy. He was always playing up to the fans, always seeking that approval, whereas now it looks like his character and Sheamus's character will be able to mold more completely into this big bruiser tag team that actually can wrestle and put on a great match. So I'm really excited to see the direction that Sheamus and Cesaro heads into. And rumor has it that the Hardy Boys won't be a unit for very much longer. Vince McMahon is very high on another Jeff Hardy solo run, as well as the WWE has been actively seeking to try and find some sort of loophole that would allow them to use the broken Matt Hardy gimmick as well. So we'll see where that goes. As for right now, I am all in for heel Sheamus and Cesaro. The WWE has also shown that they have a ton of faith in Alexa Bliss, as she actually went over Bayley in her hometown of San Jose, California. That's right, Alexa Bliss beat Bayley for the Raw Women's title, making her the first woman to hold both the SmackDown and Raw Women's championships. Now, this is another thing that I kind of called in my predictions last week. And the reason why is very, very simple. Bayley was obviously the next in line to have a women's title run, behind Sasha Banks, behind Charlotte. The difference is Bayley's title run after a month in had kind of fallen flat. Even at WrestleMania, you know, there wasn't a very big reception. There wasn't this big uproar for Bayley. Yes, she still gets very, very good pops in certain cities, certain towns around the US, but the fact of the matter is most fans were more interested in Sasha Banks turning heel against Bayley than they were in Bayley's actual title run, which is never good. If you were the champ and people are looking more towards your competition and more towards the action of the people not holding the title versus what you're doing, that's never a good thing. Alexa Bliss is very good on the mic. She's a great heel. She's good in the ring too. She makes sense to be the Raw Women's Champion for right now, especially heading into the summer months. I would expect her to hold the title all the way through SummerSlam, which is where you might see the final culmination of either a Nia Jax victory. Nia Jax could very well become Women's Champion at SummerSlam, or you could very well finally see a Sasha Banks heel turn. And if that happens and Alexa Bliss is still the champ, expect to see it happen as a double turn, which means Sasha's going to go heel, Alexa Bliss is going face. Booking 101. SmackDown Live. This was the first time in a long time that Monday Night Raw was actually better than SmackDown Live. SmackDown didn't really have a ton going for it this week. You had Jinder Mahal in action, of course. He beat Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn continues to be the whipping boy for WWE. I have no idea why, because dude is crazy talented. But nonetheless, he suffered a loss to Jinder Mahal, which is solely designed to build Jinder Mahal up before he and Randy Orton square off at Backlash. There was also a segment with the Fashion Popo, Tyler Breeze and Fandango. These two together are just comedy gold, and I love the little segment. It was kind of a throwback to, you know, those weird vignettes again from the Attitude Era or even from the New Generation, where they're backstage and they're just kind of goofing off. But in all actuality, especially in the sense of Tyler Breeze, both guys are pretty decent in the ring. Tyler Breeze had some crazy good matches in NXT, and he's yet to be able to showcase what he can do on the main stage. I'm excited to see these two have an actual good feud against the Usos, and hopefully it isn't a one and done type of match where, you know, the Usos just kind of dominate them until the New Day comes into SmackDown Live. I would love to see the Fashion Popo maybe not pull the trigger on a tag title run, but definitely give them some shine. Make them look good, man. They deserve it. They've been working that gimmick for a while now. They absolutely deserve to have a little bit of shine. We also seen what may have been Chris Jericho's last match for a very long time. He squared off against Kevin Owens for the United States Championship on SmackDown, and honestly, this was another thing. We know that Jericho is leaving to go on tour with Fozzy in a little bit, and so all signs were pointing to him dropping that title to Owens, especially considering AJ Styles had just won a Battle Royal, or I'm sorry, a six-pack challenge match to become #1 contender for the United States title. I'm very much looking forward to that match between Owens and AJ Styles. These two haven't really had much in-ring time. They did square off against each other on an episode of Raw a while ago, and the match was decent, but it did not even scratch the surface of what these two are capable of. And again, with these two and the styles that they work, you could expect to see these two put on a fantastic match together. We're looking at something that could be along the lines of a John Cena and a CM Punk in regards to in-ring chemistry between these two. And mark my words, this could be the next great feud over the WWE Championship. AJ Styles is great in the ring. Kevin Owens, with the right person, is great in the ring. Expect them to have the best match of the night at Backlash. Finally, to wrap up, the main event for Monday Night Raw was the best main event that I have seen in a very long time. It was a triple threat match to determine the #1 contender for Dean Ambrose's Intercontinental title. In that triple threat match was Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Finn Balor. All three men have been tremendous over the last few months, especially with The Miz. Dude has been on fire on the mic, and his in-ring work has improved astronomically over the course of the last year. And I love that he was in the ring with Raw's two biggest stars in the form of Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, and he looked like he belonged. He wasn't, you know, botching very much of anything. He stood in there toe to toe. He looked great. He sold well. Finn looked great. Seth Rollins looked great. It's ironic that these three men were in a feud for the #1 contendership for the Intercontinental title, because I can envision those same men battling for a shot at the Universal title. Like, Raw has a really, really deep roster, and for those guys to be feuding over the Intercontinental title only serves to make it look much more important. Now, we know in the long run that maybe Seth Rollins and Finn Balor are only going to be contained within the Universal title picture. But why not? Why not keep them around the Intercontinental title scene? I mean, especially if you're going to keep the title on Brock, the Universal Championship on Brock Lesnar, it's not going to be on TV as much, which means the Intercontinental title is your #1 championship on Raw. And no disrespect to Dean Ambrose, but I think that belt would be much more important around the waist of a Finn Balor or around the waist of a Seth Rollins. Especially Rollins, because he's proven that he can consistently put on fantastic matches while being champ. The end of the match, it concluded with two separate interferences. Samoa Joe came out of nowhere to take Seth Rollins out on the outside of the ring. And a few minutes later, just as it looked like Finn Balor was going to hit the coup de grace on The Miz to secure his shot at the IC title, Bray Wyatt came out of nowhere and interfered in the match. That opened the door for The Miz to get in there, cover Balor for the pin. The Miz is the new #1 contender for the Intercontinental title. And we got some feuds furthered. Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, I'm excited for this one. This is very much, again, a very old school feud. Monster heel versus surging babyface. Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor is going to be awesome, and I would love to see these two actually go at it at a WrestleMania, just solely for the purpose of their entrances. Like, I feel like these two, along with Shinsuke Nakamura, are going to have the most lit entrances of all time at WrestleMania. Of all time. So, you got Finn and Bray, Rollins and Joe, and Miz and Ambrose as your three top feuds on Raw, while Reigns and Strowman continue to heal from their injuries from Payback. I think Raw is in very good hands. SmackDown could be in good hands as well. I'm just not 100% sold on their rivalries just yet. It was a great week of wrestling, man, and I can't wait to see how the stories progress this week on Raw. They're in the middle of their UK tour, and you know they usually pull out all the stops for the European tours. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see where SmackDown goes headed into Backlash. I'm finally ready to see Owens and AJ Styles build towards their match. Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton have looked great. There's an interesting thing going on with the women's title over on SmackDown. There's a lot of good wrestling going on, guys. So make sure that you're tuning in. All right, dudes, that's this week's Falls Count Anywhere. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments down below. Let me know, was I off base with some of the things I said? Do you think something else is going to happen? Drop a comment down below. And while you're doing that, hop back up and look for the little thumbs up button. Hit the like button. Like this video. That makes me very happy when you do that. That excites me tremendously, and I love to see that you guys liked that I'm doing what I'm doing. So hit the like button, that helps me keep doing it. And also subscribe to this channel. Make sure you subscribe. That way you get each and every episode of Falls Count Anywhere every week as it drops. And there's also a ton of other stuff on my channel that I feel like you would like. So subscribe. Don't cost you a dime. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I am Robbie Diesel. This was Falls Count Anywhere, and I will catch you guys next week.